In February 2026, the United States of America, the most powerful military force in human history, launched a full-scale war against Iran. Bombs fell. Missiles flew. The world held its breath. Iran closed the Strait of Hormuz, shutting off 20% of the world's oil supply overnight. Economies trembled, oil prices exploded, and after 7 weeks of the most advanced military bombardment in modern history, America agreed to a ceasefire. Iran, still standing, still unbroken, still in control. But this is not a new story. Before America tried, the Romans tried, the Mongols tried, the Arabs tried, the Turks tried, the British tried. Every single one of them failed. So today, we answer the one question the entire world is asking. Why is Iran impossible to conquer? Welcome to the third vision. Watch till the end to unfold the reality of Iran. Forget politics, forget religion. Start with the land itself. Pull up a map of Iran and look carefully. What you will see is a country that nature designed as a perfect fortress. To the north, the Alborz Mountains rise like a wall, virtually impossible to cross with a large army. To the west, the massive Zagros Mountains stretch from the Persian Gulf all the way toward Turkey, running parallel to Iran's entire western border. To the east, more mountain ranges wrap around Iran like a protective ribbon along its borders with Afghanistan and Pakistan. And to the south, the Persian Gulf creates the final wall. Iran is completely surrounded, on 3 sides by mountains, on the 4th by ocean, and inside those walls, nature placed 2 of the most dangerous deserts on Earth. The Dasht-e Kavir, a great salt desert whose surface looks solid but behaves like quicksand underneath, and the Dasht-e Lut, one of the hottest places on the entire planet. For any invading army, these mountains and deserts create logistical nightmares that have broken every force that has ever tried to penetrate deep into Iranian territory. In 1980, the United States launched a secret military mission inside Iran to rescue American hostages. Their helicopters landed on what appeared to be firm ground in the Dasht-e Kavir desert. The surface that had been surveyed weeks earlier had turned to ankle-deep powder. The mission ended in catastrophe. 8 American soldiers died. Helicopters were abandoned and left burning in the desert. The United States retreated in humiliation, without firing a single shot at a single Iranian soldier. Not because of Iran's military, because of Iranian sand. If a desert can defeat the United States military in a rescue mission, imagine what it does to a full-scale invasion force trying to move hundreds of thousands of soldiers and tanks across its surface. Geography alone does not explain 2,500 years of survival. The real secret is the Iranian people. Iran is home to Persians, Azeris, Kurds, Arabs, Baloch, and Turkmen. Different languages, different cultures, different traditions. But throughout history, one thing has happened every single time a foreign power has attacked Iran. These people, with all their differences, unite as one. Under the shared identity of Shia Islam, which represents 95% of Iran's population, every internal division disappears the moment an outside enemy appears. The perfect proof happened in 1980. Saddam Hussein believed Iran was weak, broken by its own revolution, easy to conquer. He launched a full-scale invasion, expecting a quick victory. What happened next shocked the entire world. Saddam's plan was simple: push through the Zagros Mountains, capture Iran's oil-rich western regions, advance deep into the country before Iran could respond. The Arab world was watching. America was watching. Everyone expected Iran to collapse. In the early days, Iraqi forces made progress. They crossed the border. They pushed into Iranian territory. And then they hit the mountains. The same mountains that had destroyed armies for 2,500 years, stopped Saddam's modern military machine completely. Tanks could not navigate the rocky terrain. Supply lines broke. Air power became useless in the narrow mountain passes. And behind those mountains, the Iranian people were doing what they have always done when attacked. They were uniting. They were fighting, and they were refusing to break. Within 2 years, Iran had pushed Iraq back across the border. 8 brutal years of war followed. Iraq was backed by America, Saudi Arabia, and most of the Arab world. And still, Iran didn't fall. The war ended with no winner. No territory changed. Iran had simply outlasted everyone, as it always has. Now let us talk about Iran's most powerful weapon. It is not a nuclear bomb. It is not a missile. It is a stretch of water 33 kilometers wide. The Strait of Hormuz, running along Iran's southern coast. This narrow choke point is where 20% of the world's entire oil supply passes every single day. 1/5 of all the oil that powers every car, every plane, every factory, every home on Earth passes through this single waterway. In 2026, when America went to war with Iran, Iran did exactly what it had always threatened. It closed the strait. Within days, global shipping dropped by over 90%. Oil prices exploded. Economies around the world began feeling the pain. The Strait of Hormuz is Iran's ultimate deterrent. A weapon that cannot be bombed, cannot be destroyed, because it is not a weapon at all. It is geography. If geography were not enough, Iran has spent decades building a military designed not to fight America face to face, but to make any invasion so painful that no rational leader would ever attempt it. Iran possesses the largest ballistic missile arsenal in the entire Middle East, capable of striking targets 2,000 kilometers away. Its drone program has transformed conflicts across the region, and its network of allied groups, stretching from Lebanon to Yemen, from Iraq to Syria, means that attacking Iran triggers a response across the entire Middle East simultaneously. And behind all of this stands 2,500 years of Persian history. The Romans could not hold Iran. Alexander the Great conquered it. But after his death, Iran immediately reclaimed its independence. The Mongols, the most terrifying military force in human history, invaded and slaughtered millions. Yet within generations, the Mongol rulers had been completely absorbed into Persian culture, speaking Persian, writing Persian poetry, becoming Iranian. Even the conquerors became conquered. For 600 years, not a single inch of Iran's borders has changed. And then came 2026. The war the world had feared for decades finally arrived. In February, American forces struck Iranian targets directly. For 7 weeks, the most advanced military technology ever built was unleashed against Iran. And Iran responded exactly as history suggested it would. It closed the Strait of Hormuz. It activated its missile networks. It unleashed its regional alliances, and it refused to break. On April 7th, 2026, a ceasefire was announced, mediated by Pakistan. But even that ceasefire has been fragile, violated by both sides, with negotiations still ongoing as we speak today. Iran, after 7 weeks of American bombardment, is still standing, still negotiating, still controlling the Strait of Hormuz. The most powerful military in human history could not finish what it started, because Iran as 2,500 years of history has proven, simply does not break. Empires rise and fall. The Romans are gone. The Mongols are gone. The Ottoman Empire is gone. The British Empire is gone. The Soviet Union is gone. But Iran, ancient Persia, still stands, still sovereign, still within the same borders it has held for 600 years. In a world where nations are destroyed overnight, Iran remains exactly where it has always been, unmoved, unbroken, watching empires come and watching empires go. The 2026 war is not fully over. Negotiations continue. The outcome remains uncertain. But one thing history has made absolutely clear: whoever is sitting across the table from Iran right now is negotiating with a civilization that has outlasted every empire that ever tried to destroy it. And that is the real power of Iran. This is the third vision. See beyond the unknown. If this video changed the way you see the world, subscribe and hit the bell, because every single week we go deeper into the stories that explain why the world is the way it is.